Ever wondered if you got access to a camera on a bike or to record these things? You obviously have to then have some way of having a camera attached to you or to your bike in order to be able to record these images. These are taken from a YouTube clip from a gentleman who cycles in London. Your task today is to design a way of attaching a camera to your helmet. Ideally, I'd like you to attempt to attach your own mobile phone to your camera rather than buying a specialist camera. You could imagine someone designing an app to turn your camera into a road cam, and then you can put that onto your helmet and cycle around without the need to buy some of these quite expensive cameras that attach to your helmets, and then you have to buy a mount and do other bits and pieces. A lot of industrial products are designed to come apart. Sometimes they're designed to come apart for replacement of items, in which case they're not screwed or bolted or riveted together. Here you can see a traffic light, and the traffic light is designed for replacements. So on the side here there are some quick release buttons which push like that, and the units, the light units, when the chap goes to replace them, if you undo it here like that, then the light unit will just pull out and you can replace it. And then when you've replaced either that particular unit, if it's not a replaceable unit, you can put it back in and just clip it back in, and obviously the unit will then stay in. That won't for me for now, but you get the idea. Okay, so a lot of industrial items are obviously made. Now this fitting here is obviously designed in as part of the moulding and would be reasonably expensive to mould. You need a method of attaching a phone to a helmet. So here is 2 cycle helmets. You need some way of attaching to the surface. Not necessarily by damaging the surface, because if you drill into the helmet, particularly if it's a motorcycle helmet, your helmet actually becomes unsafe because you put a failure or a fracture into the hard metal shell, which will actually make it more unsafe than if you don't have a camera at all. So if you look at your helmets that you've designed, you're going to try and attach a camera or your own phone of some description onto here so that you can video traffic. It may be that you want it to sit at the top, it may be that you want to strap it on the front, or you may want to strap it on the back. You need to look at some ways of attaching. Not all of them are going to be like my traffic light. So if you look at some household objects around you, you can look at a variety of ways of attachment. So if you look at this plastic box which we're using for keeping pencils in, you can see that it's got a little clip on each end, and that clip will allow the lid to be removed, and equally so if I clip it on, that lid will not come off. If you look at a screw top jar, if you unscrew it, the thing obviously comes off, and if you screw it on, but then you've got to think about how you could do that. Now if you're designing the helmet, you could design a fitting on the top of your helmet so that your top of your helmet could have a fitting like that actually built into the helmet, or maybe sort of in there like that, and then your camera could have an attachment like the screw thread on the bottom here that you could plug onto the back and stick it on. If you look at something as simple as a battery, so here is a square PP9 type battery, but the battery terminals on the top will actually attach. So if I put it into my recharger here and plug it in, I can actually pick it up and it will stay in. And that is actually remarkably secure and a good way of attaching things. If you look at something as simple as an aerosol can, little aerosol can has got a lid on it which is always quite securely held on. And again, that is not going to rattle off. If you look at other children's toys, you can look at something like Lego, and if you take a Lego block, you know that the Lego block will sit on the Lego quite securely and not really come off very easily. Even things such as household dusters like this, you can see how the head of the brush here will lock into that shape because it's got that keyhole type shape, and that's not going to come out very easily. You can look at things like batteries. Batteries are designed to recharge. So this is my battery and its recharger, and if I slide it out, the unit is then ready to go in, and you can see that it's got a groove down the side which goes into the groove on the machine, and then it locks in with the actual clips on the end, so that actually clips in and stays on charge quite easily. On the machine body, it's actually got a little lock on here, and you can see that it's got a little tag here, okay, here, which when I press the tag, you can see that that actually unlocks it and allows it to slide off. So it's even more secure. Even something as basic as this high visibility vest here has got Velcro on it. And you can hear the Velcro and you can see the Velcro, and you know what Velcro is like, and you could use that as an attachment method to temporarily attach things. You could obviously use something like magnets, but that might affect the camera. You could even use something as simple as a humble light bulb. So here is a humble light bulb, and you know that if you squeeze it and twist, the bayonet fitting on the end fits into the socket quite nicely, and you know that the light doesn't come, the bulb doesn't fall out quite easily. Even looking in your kitchen, you might find one of these, a scrubbing up brush, a washing brush, and on the end there's a little rubber sucker, and that will stick onto things. I've got my nice smooth helmet here, and if I stick that onto the end, it will actually attach. There we go. It's stuck on quite adequately. So you've got to look at a range of items around the house to come up with ideas for how things could be attached. There are a good range of household items here for you to have a look at, and for you to perhaps go and find and have a look at. You are then to do me some drawing work, showing me just the way that you would attach it. If you look at a proper camera, you will often find on the bottom of a proper camera there is the ability to be able to screw something on. That screw is usually an M6 metric threaded screw, like the one on this little Diddy camera here, and you can see the screw thread here, and that will just unscrew and allow you to mount things. So this has got a little baby tripod that can be put on the bottom of the camera, and you can see that on the bottom of the camera now that little camera screws on, and it's screwed on to my tripod attachment that's on the bottom of a lot of cameras. But you won't find that sort of fitting on the majority of mobile phones. So you've got to find some way of attaching to your mobile phone a method of being able to attach it or mount it then on your helmet. You're not to worry about the app that you could buy, but you could use something as simple as this headband torch. So this headband torch is designed to go on the head, and obviously the elastic stretches, and that will actually go round and sit on and attach to the forehead like that. So you could mount that like a camera if you had that attached to your mobile phone or you had some sort of carrier. Do have a look at online at the samples and the already existing designs that you can find. Do have a good look around your house. Perhaps take photographs of some of the items that you have a look at and think, oh, that's a good idea. I could use that as part of my design. You're to develop a way of attaching your mobile phone to your helmet. You will need to create 3 different ideas. You will need some sketches. You will need some annotation. You will need to include some materials. And then send it to your teacher.